How do fractional CMOs hit the ground running? Hi, I'm Dean Way. Welcome to the podcast, Fractional CMOs and the 90-Day Win. There's a lot of variety in how they kick off a new client engagement. In fact, there's so much variety, it's valuable to just listen to what opportunities they look for, what they tackle first, and what they wish wasn't true when they started a new project. So let's find out. Niels, we'll start with you. Imagine you just started a new engagement, right? You're the fractional CMO. We'll talk about early wins in a moment. But first, what problems do you normally see, or what problems do you normally look for on day one? And also tell the audience who you are.
Yeah. Hi. So let's start with a short introduction about who am I and who my company is. And so I'm the founder of Human. Human is a purpose-based, purpose-driven marketing agency. So we work as a sort of an outsourced marketing department, and part of our services is also fractional CMO services. Um, so when we start working with a client, you have the first feeling, like how much does the client understand marketing themselves? Okay, how much is marketing new to them, or how important is marketing to them? So as soon as you have more or less the feeling like, okay, who is sitting in front of me, you can start. I think this is a really important part because it really helps to know that there is a partner on the other end. Um, so what we first start with is to find purpose. Okay, we're a purpose-driven marketing agency, and we think that the importance of purpose is, it's the beginning. It's it's the core of every marketing um, um, action that we're taking for our clients. So making them understand what their purpose is, that's the first step that we take. Okay, why are you guys here? What do you guys do? Why do you do it? So that's the why is, of course, for all marketers is really important, but we put special attention to this.
And Casey, how about you? What problems do you typically see, or what problems do you normally look for when it's boots on the ground in day one? And also, like, let folks know who you are.
Sure. Hey, great to be here. So 15 years marketing executive, primarily in B2B SaaS enterprise. I've also been a CEO for a couple of companies that I ran that were acquired. Everything I've done, it always comes back to marketing, right? Everybody on this, all three of us, right? Marketing's everywhere. So it's been, a lot of fun and enjoy it. So the number one thing is communication. It's kind of mirroring what Neil said. You got to find out, for me, it's like, what are you looking for? What do you want? Where are you at right now? And if you don't establish that in the beginning, you're going to have problems right away. Because once you find out what they want, because everybody's going to say, I need more leads, brand awareness, demand for product, things like that. Those are all the blanket statements, but I like to get in a little deeper and say, what's working, what's not from the executive team. I'll get the rest from the marketing team, but I want to know what the executive team is seeing, especially the CEO, and work with a few boards and the board members. What's their concern? And then as you engage, with them, you may come back and find out halfway through your first 90 days that you agree with them or you disagree with them and say, you know what, I don't think we want to do that. I think we want to go in this direction. So it's going to be communication. And as Neil said, purpose is huge. What is the purpose of this? Why are you bringing someone in? So then we can talk about resources in a sec, I guess.
Yeah, in an earlier episode, someone brought up the point that one of the most fundamental disconnects you can find at a client coming in as CMO is that the client, the company thinks it's selling one thing, but the customers think they're buying something else.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
And it's so useful to know what the customers are actually buying and are paying for instead of like what you're making. So let's move into, let's talk about this then. What kind of early wins or sort of low-hanging fruit do you like to go for in the first 90 days, or do you normally see as opportunities?
Yeah, I think when we spoke before, Dean, the term low-hanging fruit has always bugged me. I come from a farming background way back when. I grew up in a farming community. And low-hanging fruit, everything takes effort and time, right? So what I don't like about low-hanging fruit is that the expectation that it's going to happen very quickly. And oftentimes it can, but this is what I found that I look for right away.
Yeah.
Where are their leads going to? They're going to a form more than likely, right? Where is that form? Is it on their website? It's probably being repurposed several times. So I want to look at that right away, and I want to look at messaging on the website right away. If the form, in a few cases where I've been involved, looked at their forms, they were a lot of friction. They were disjointed. It was a very bad user experience. So that means that all the traffic that's coming there, there's a high bounce rate because people are like, holy cow, I can't fill this out. My brain's having to work too much. So I look at the form right away, making sure the messaging is correct, the layout of it's proper. And then I look at the homepage, not to redo a website. That's way too long in this conversation, but what I call a refresh. I'm going to look at the branding at the very top because everyone's going to end up at the website at some point in the customer journey, right? And I want that first experience to that website to answer the question of what service we're providing. And then when they hit the button to get a demo or get more information, that's got to be a very smooth transition for them to fill out that form. So those are the two things I look at right away, in addition to other things. But I want to make sure any effort that we're putting out there, if it hits those two areas, that at least it's going to be a good experience for them.
That's how this podcast got started. Is I do a lot of that kind of work for fractional CMOs. I get called in the first 90 days. It's like, hey, like first things first, like the homepage needs like new messaging and it needs to be way better. How about you, Niels? What do you normally? I won't say low hanging fruit anymore. What kind of early wins do you like to go for?
Say that.
Yeah. So first of all, I really connect to what Casey said. I'm from Israel, and most of my clients are Israeli, and they want everything done yesterday, yesterday morning. Okay, so I don't have a choice other than to look at the low-hanging fruits. And mostly what I tell my clients is that we're going to do two things parallel. Okay, we're going to look at the now. Okay, how to get these leads getting in, and then we're going to in parallel also look at the long-term strategy.
Right.
And the messaging, and we're going to understand the clients a little bit better, because, like you said, a lot of times the client sees the customer totally in a different way than the customer thinks his client sees them. So this is absolutely true. So yeah, that's how we solve it. We tell the client, okay, we're going to do the low-hanging fruits now, and most of the time that's a good sales funnel, going over their PPC campaigns. Looking at their the messaging that they have there, their current messaging, and just like to make it a little better, but not diving deep into what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that's the way we go about it.
Okay, then following on that. Then, like, what do clients not normally see or know about, or what are they sort of typically blind to that you find until you start working with them?
Well, I think marketing yourself it's a really hard thing. Okay.
Yeah.
To market
hard to get outside your own head.
It's a lot easier than to market yourself. And most of the time, these clients, they do it in-house, and they have this kind of perception of themselves. And as soon as you get come from the outside and start asking questions, and with an experienced team, it isn't so difficult to make this first step to a higher level of marketing. But so I guess that it's simply really difficult to market yourself, and that the self-perception is it's hard.
Right.
And it's also scary. I think I'd like to add that it's also scary. Marketing yourself is scary. Also, marketing others is scary, but that's my job. It's easier. Yeah. But marketing yourself,
it's easier when it's at arm's length, right? It's very personal and vulnerable when you're marketing yourself.
Exactly. You have to. A lot of people are shy or modest, and they it's hard for them to put themselves out there, and so, okay, here I am. Okay, this is me, and I'm good at this. So yeah, as a marketer, it's a lot easier to do that for others than
yeah. How about you, Casey? What do you think customers are normally sort of blind to, or don't notice, or don't see until you start working with them and bring a chief marketing officer's view or vision to it?
I'll put this in the go-to-market plan, and in that'll be everything from the campaigns to the sales materials to the PowerPoint decks, the pitch decks they're putting together. When I usually engage with someone, I'll say, I'll bet you right now, if you were to freeze every salesperson's desktop, they have a Frankenstein of a PowerPoint that once was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So the messaging, what I find, is disjointed all along the way. Marketing is saying something. The sales sheets are usually outdated, or things are missing, or the PowerPoint decks that the sales team's using, their pitch decks, are outdated as well. Or they're just not really working as great as they can. And that creates problems too. That creates churn and things like that. If they're selling something that isn't 100% accurate, if it's outdated, and a lot of times it can be outdated. So I think when you take the time to ask them to look, and more times than not, I found a lot of people know that. They know what the problem is, but complacency kind of sets in. It's like, all right, I got other things to do right now. This isn't quite the right messaging. And you're right. It is tough. We were talking about individuals and companies. When you put yourself out there marketing, you're putting yourself out there. And that's why it's so important to, keep it simple. What problem are you solving? And then, not to jump ahead too quickly, but you'll get a lot of this information from your customers. Interview your customers, find out what they like, why they engaged with you, what was that moment, the aha moment for them, things like that. As marketers, you can gain so much information from the existing customer base.
All right. Well, let's talk about the client for a second. Like, what should a CEO understand about fractional CMOs and to get the maximum value from one or from you?
What I would say is, it's interesting. I talk to people that have 2 people on staff, 5 people on staff, 1 person on staff, or they want to bring in a whole department.
Yeah.
So I think from a CEO standpoint, it's like, if you're hiring a CMO, you need to invest. And that's one of the questions I ask too. What's your investment here? What's the budget going forward? Is it scalable? If I show a return every month, every quarter, I want to be able to ramp up and take advantage of this momentum. So what the CEO is, really understand what you're looking for and is it achievable? If you're bringing in a CMO and you don't have the budget for it, and you're going to ask them to write copy and run HubSpot and Salesforce and all these other things, in my opinion, that isn't what a fractional CMO is for, or a normal CEO or CMO. They need to be able to use their skills and guide and mentor and give direction, things like that, to the team. So the CEO needs to really understand the true situation and make the decision if they're going to invest, and put the budget there.
Yes. I'll interject, Jared, just to say, hey, if you're a CEO, don't have your CMOs write copy. That's my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
think the CMO, it starts with a C. It's a chief.
Yeah.
The CEO should take the CMO really seriously, because if he looks at him just like another marketing manager, that's not what a CMO does. Okay, a CMO is there to look from really high level, what the company should do and where should it be going, in my opinion and experience, at the moment the CEO is totally open with me of what are the company goals and what is the situation also on the business level of the company, then I can do my job. Okay, so if it's just like, okay, get me more leads, I'm sorry, get a marketing manager. That's not what I'm doing. So I think it's really important that a CEO takes the CMO, and doesn't take him for granted. Yeah.
Don't do that. Okay, then, Niels, let me follow up on that then. So at this point, and it's sort of been alluded to earlier in the conversation, like, to you, what are signs that a client should not have hired a fractional CMO or isn't ready for a fractional CMO yet? Like, what are the red flags there?
Well, first of all, when I say the price and they fall from their chairs, and that's the first sign, that. But because then they don't understand the value of a CMO. I think the openness of I've got my friend here,
a third guest,
my additional guest, and I really think that one of the signs is the openness of the CEO. How willing is he to share information,
How about you, Casey? What are the
Yeah,
red flags that a client
yeah.
kind of
I
isn't
think
ready yet?
Neil nailed it there too. Is that I haven't had too much problems on the budget. It seems that when some companies they want a CMO, they want they want the CMO to come in and from a high level or not high level, sometimes not a high level, but they want to come in and like, I need things updated. I need digital demand gen we don't have. I need that vision for us. And it's what's interesting is that what I found with the CEO is that they know what they want, and the ones I've spoken with, they know what they want, what they need. But I'm always find it interesting that they haven't done anything about it for a couple of years. It's like they've been kind of living in this environment that they know that things aren't where they
Yeah.
want them to be. But so, kind of what Neil's point was saying too, as far as budgeting, but also you need to make friends with the CEO. You need to be together on the vision because you're about to embark on a really kind of fun and exciting journey where you're going to make some big changes. And if you don't have that relationship with the CEO, then you're going to have problems as well, right? I mean, everyone has to be aligned in the vision and where we're going, and then the execution of the plan you're going to put together.
Right.
So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the fun part is actually a really good sign because marketing is supposed to be fun. It's really, really interesting. And if the CEO is on board and you have a good connection with the CEO, it's simply fun to do marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Casey, you just mentioned, and we'll turn to Niels, I guess, for this first, but you just mentioned about making friends with the CEO. Here's like a hypothetical that I want to put out there and just sort of see how you guys want to tackle it. So imagine that at this point, it's the CEO and you, and the CEO says, "Hey, I want you to help me vet or interview or select the next head of sales." So there's no head of sales yet. Position's open, looking for someone. What are you looking for as a CMO or fractional CMO in the head of sales? That could, like, there's an opportunity here, brand new. You're already in place. What would you look for or want to avoid in a new head of sales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think first of all, I would like to know what the product is because I'm a people person, so I first look at what kind of person is sitting in front of me. Is he is it somebody I can connect with?
Right.
And sometimes salespeople, the best salespeople are the ones that don't sell. They come and give service. So, but this really depends on what kind of product they're selling or service they're selling. So, it's a tough question.
It's a tough question because, and also it's sort of rare for a CMO or fractional for a head of marketing to get to hire the head of sales.
Yeah, exactly.
In this hypothetical, right? And not like just like a salesperson, but the head of sales.
Yeah.
But if I was a CEO, I'd be interested in knowing what someone who is heading up marketing would recommend or look for or try to avoid in a head of sales. What do you think, Casey?
Yeah, I've been asked to participate, in the hiring team, of course,
Right.
and what I asked for, I don't think I said this earlier. I try to keep things really simple, man. It's like, I want to find out, like, are they a hands-on type leader, right? What's their experience? Do they ever sell themselves? And it depends the size of the organization too, right? If it's a huge organization, it's a different person than it is if they have 10 salespeople. But I want to find out, again, their background, what their style is, how they view marketing, and just basic points like, are you hitting your goals from where you came from? What are the biggest challenges you've seen? What would you like to see from marketing? But and then how much of a people person are they? I've worked with sales leaders in the past that are really great people person. They speak with their team. They're very vocal, good relationships. And I worked with others that are very distant. They're in their office.
Yeah.
They're not out there speaking. And now it would be Zoom calls or a lot of interaction. And that's really tough to work that way, because at the end of the day, especially sales and marketing, they have to work together. Sales, you have to be very personable. You have to understand who you're speaking with. You understand the value, deliver it, all those things. And all of that comes from good leadership. If you don't have good leadership in the sales role, then you're going to have problems. Doesn't matter what you do in marketing if they can't close. So I want to make sure, and I take it very personally. When we start bringing in these leads and we're hitting on all cylinders and all these things are happening, it's like, what are you doing with our leads? I look, why don't they convert? I'm going to go on into another tangent. I'll stop there. But I want to make sure.
On a tangent. It's okay. We've got some time.
I hold them accountable as I want to be held accountable in my team. But in the sales time, it's like, hey, I'm looking at all the leads that lead lost. What's the reason code? There has to be a reason. I want to know why. So if we're in the wrong channel, the wrong messaging, things like that. So, and conversely, if I want to ask them, hey, you guys opted out of this too quickly. You disqualified this too quickly. I want to make sure when I say that to a sales leader who's interviewing, what I would like to hear back from them, oh no, we hold them accountable. I hold my team accountable. We're going to be looking at these leads. It takes a lot to bring them in. We want to make sure that we're handling them properly, versus a hands-off. Well, marketing doesn't give us good leads, then I don't know what we can do. So.
I'll tell you, and I can say this because we're in the stage of the podcast where, and someone's going to see this and even see what I'm saying. We're in the stage of the podcast where we're like recording, and we'll have several. I think we'll have probably 10 within another couple of recording days. And so once they start to air, if anyone ever watches these before they come on as a guest, then they're gonna see and probably never ever do this again. But so far, I have never ever heard anyone answer that question by saying, I would ask them what they think sales should be doing for marketing. And also, it's also relatively rare is to ask about their history of working with marketing as a head of sales. It's just like no one in marketing, we don't really think about sales should be doing anything or trying to, do more with or for marketing, right? It is very much the other kind of relationship. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm just saying that's a pretty typical position.
Yeah, I think what Casey said, in connection to what Casey said, they should be team players. Okay, this is of course really important. You need to get the feedback and you need to get their input. So it's really important that as sales, the head of sales is a team player, and doesn't get in morning when he says there is no sales, he goes pointing fingers at the marketing. That's not the right vibe. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and real quick on that note, when you first, let's say that you start and there's a new sales leader, or you're there and you're meeting the sales leader, what I try to squash right away is there any friction between the two departments?
Right.
If there's friction, let's address it right now. Let's get everyone in the room, or let me speak to whoever the person has a problem, whatever, and let them know. When I've been in sales meetings, I tell them, I want to help you be just wildly successful. I want you to hit every sales quota you can get. And the look on their face is like, really? Absolutely. That's why I'm here. We want to help you be successful. And once they hear that, then, if there was any type of issues, usually they kind of go away, but you address them as you go along too. Don't let someone throw out a comment in a meeting that, the leads are terrible or, or our value prop, whatever. So
I've worked with a lot of tech companies. I've never heard anyone in sales or any head of sales say that they get enough good leads from marketing. I don't think it's ever happened.
There's a lot of time there's the blame game going on. The marketing says they're not good in selling, and
right, yeah, and then there's sometimes a disconnect, right? I was in one meeting where I was sort of like brought in, and I was sort of, how like you have an executive team meeting, like a leadership team, and there are people at the main conference table, and then there are like a few people on the chairs along the wall. I was one of the chairs along the wall people, and the head of marketing was doing his monthly sort of slideshow of what marketing had done and accomplished, and sort of like every C-level person was doing their own, and then the sort of the overall message from that would be bubbled up to a board meeting that always happened like the following week with just the CEO. And the head of marketing said that we provided like 3,000 leads to sales in the last month. And the head of sales was there, and he said, "What the hell are you talking about?" He said, you did not give sales 3,000 leads. You gave us the names of people who had clicked on something and like decided that they might view a web page or download a PDF. And the thing is, I think they were talking about different things, right? Marketing is not in the really for the most part. Marketing doesn't produce prospects, which is what sales wants. They produce leads, which are not yet, and most of them will never become a prospect, right? And sales is never going to have the head count. I mean, how big an organization would you need in sales to follow up on 3,000 leads in a month, right? Leads. And so to some degree, it's the wrong term. But yeah, I looked at that guy and I said, wow, that's a lot. I was like briefly impressed by the marketing, the head of marketing talking about 3,000 leads. And then when the sales guy, I pushed back on it, I immediately said, oh, yeah, they're talking about very different things and they're not working together. They're not communicating.
Yeah.
They're each trying to posture in their own way because each one thinks they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and each one thinks the other's not.
Yeah, that's not good. I've been in that situation
Yeah.
where we're looking at a company to acquire, and they said, "Oh, we got 20." I'm not exaggerating. 24,000 leads in like 2 months. And I just said, "Okay, time out." What they did was they bought a bunch of names, right? That were in that demographic and could be interested, things like that. To me, those shouldn't even be part of the conversation on a monthly basis.
No.
I mean, from my opinion, right? You're talking about lead gen. What I try to set up with on the leads is we give away content, all those other things, but when they fill out a form, they're requesting a demo. I want to see a demo. I'm at that point in the funnel now.
Yeah.
Those are the leads that we count or that I count. It's like there's going to be a few hundred, whatever that would be, depending on the market and the TAM. Those are the ones that we engage in the conversation in those 30-day meetings. We got 300 of these in this segment, 200 of those. Those are all form fills. Those are people that requested from the form. They want to get into a demo. Those are the ones that they should have been talking about.
That's a prospect.
Yeah.
So what we do normally is we talk with the sales department and we expect them to fill in a form of like every leads after they talk with his leads, how to qualify, why was it a good lead? Why was it a bad lead? And get all kinds of information in order for us to understand how we can better change our marketing strategies and change our campaigns in order to get them even better leads. So I think that's really important to to get their feedback and to make sure that they give their feedback, because a lot of times they don't do it. So
yeah.
So Casey, how do people find you or get in touch with you as we wrap up here?
LinkedIn is where everyone seems to come from these days.
Yeah.
Networking. They can find me on LinkedIn. Check out my profile. CaseyPowers@gmail.com is my email address.
Giving out your personal email address on a podcast. That's like,
yeah, I'm asking for trouble. Well, there's a reason why. I'll share with that later.
Okay. And Niels, how do people find you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, of course. LinkedIn is the easiest. I'm always on LinkedIn. So Niels Kramer from Human Brands and Marketing. You can't miss it.
All right. Thank you so much for helping me out today, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Dean Way. See you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.